Hello everyone, my name is Lizzy and I'm the owner of Lilbit Flower Farm and a horticulturalist at Wake Forest University. Today I want to show you how I design and put together containers for both work or for my home, and the simple 3-ingredient recipe I use for most of my designs. So the 3 things that you'll need are a filler, a spiller, and a thriller. So your thriller is that centerpiece, that big, beautiful part that you want everyone to focus on. It's going to add height, it's going to add texture, it's going to add color, something to really bring and draw your eye up. And then around it, you're going to put your filler. That's going to fill in all the empty space around it. It could add more color, more texture, anything you want there. And then the last piece is the spiller. That's going to draw your eye down, add a little bit more to your container's look. You could leave that out if you want a really clean look or you don't want to hide the container if you've got a beautiful container. But I really like to add that height and the length. So for my pots today, because we're going into the fall, I have a perennial that'll last and I have some annuals that are cold tolerant. So for my thriller, this is a camellia. It is the Ackerman hybrid camellia. And you can see it is loaded with blooms. It's going to bloom these beautiful pink flowers this winter, and that'll be in the center. To go around it for my filler, I have these pansies. In zone 7B, which is where I live, these should last through most of the winter and add some beautiful color around the edges. Even once this is done blooming, we'll still have color. And then the last piece, my spiller, I have some creeping Jenny. This will come and drape down the side and add some really beautiful texture to the side of the pot. Now to get started, you'll need a couple things. You'll need some potting soil, and then you'll need a big enough container for what your design is, as well as some good drainage. For these pots, they come with these little punch-out holes that I feel like aren't quite big enough for this size pot, so I like to drill my own holes, and if I ever feel like I need more drainage, I can then punch those out in addition. So let's get started. For this pot, I already filled it with soil, but I'm going to remove a little bit. I think this is too much for this size plant. I'm going to need a little more space. So I have another empty container here just to scoop a little soil into, make a little more room. And it's okay if you make a mess. We can always clean it up, right? So for getting your plants out of the container, you don't really want to pull by the stems. You want to kind of like loosen it up around the edges and shake it out. And there is my centerpiece. So we're going to loosen up around the roots so it'll spread into the pot. And I'm going to have to remove a lot more soil. So I'm going to put this to the side and take some more soil out. There you go. Now, I'm going to get this in here. You want to cover the top of the root ball just a bit, just so it's not exposed. Really get it in there. And then don't forget to take off any tags. Just like your trees, if you leave it on long enough, it can girdle it. There you go. I'm going to add a little bit of soil around it. And I'm going to start with my spiller. This here is my creeping Jenny. It should add some really beautiful movement down the pot. Some beautiful bright color to contrast the dark green of the camellia. And I've got 3 of these. I'm going to space them pretty evenly throughout. So I have 3 plants spread evenly. go. Now, to add some really bright, impactful color right away, because these aren't blooming yet, I've got my pansies. I got some yellow and some purple ones, and I'm going to alternate the colors. I'm going to have 4 of the yellow and 4 of the purple. Before I put them in, sometimes it's nice to place them so you get an idea of how far apart you need to place them, or if you have enough plants for your design. Let's see. It's 4 of those, 4 purple. I think that'll look really good. These should fill in a good bit, so it may look a little sparse at first, but they should still fill in. And they'll especially fill in if you're doing a summer container. Summer plants just are so prolific. There you go. Our container is done. I'm going to take out this little tag. Oh, and I've got one little one. He was hiding. They're going to look a little sad at first, because you just transplanted them. They're going to be in a little bit of a shock. But after, I'd say, a couple days, they should perk up, look beautiful. There you go. And because I'm going to put this flanking my door, I'm going to make 2 of them, and I can show you how to do it again. Alright, here's my second pot ready to go. I put some soil in it. I'm going to first start with our camellia, our centerpiece, or our thriller. Remove all of these tags. I like to keep them though, if I ever forget what variety I picked. So like this camellia is a perennial. I'll eventually pop it out of this pot and plant it in my landscape. And it's nice to remember what exactly I bought. So I keep a little collection of my tags. Now this one's root ball isn't quite as developed. The soil's coming away from it a lot more than the last one, but that's okay. So you can see that root ball, all that soil just came off of it. But we're going to make sure we get it deep enough. It's centered in our pot. I think that should be pretty good. Take some of this soil, put it back in. And just barely cover the top of that root ball. You don't want it exposed, but you don't want to bury the crown of your plant. You still want all of that is exposed. Just like a tree, you know, sometimes people do those mulch volcanoes around it and really hill it up around it. That's very bad for your plant. And back to the creeping Jenny, our spiller. 1, 2, and 3. And our last one. There we go. All filled in. Now our last step, after you plant anything, you want to water it in. Even if you have like a drip irrigation, it's not going to really settle the soil enough around it. So I always try to water it in before I then rely on a drip irrigation or any other kind of irrigation system. So let me show you that. Alright, I've got my hose. I'm going to water everything in real good. Wash off some of the dirt I may have spilled over the edges. And sometimes you get air bubbles. And so here's our beautiful finished container. This will really fill in, add some drama to our doorway, and some beautiful color throughout the fall and some of the winter. So the only other thing you need to do, make sure you water it. Even in the winter, you still need to check it for water and fertilize it. I like to add a little bit of Osmocote or some kind of slow release fertilizer. And in the summertime, if you're doing a summer container, I highly suggest doing both a liquid and a slow release fertilizer. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.